What up, dudes? I'm Jay. This week's video, I'm going to be making a monster in the spirit of Halloween and everything. Not just any monster, Frankenstein's monster, and not just Frankenstein's monster, Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein Monster, at least heavily inspired by the art that he did and his illustrated Frankenstein book. It's about to get scary. Boo. Okay, so I'm not very scary, but if you're wondering why I'm dressed as Marty McFly, it's because it's awesome. And also, this was the year of Back to the Future. So, you know, it was topical. If you're thinking, you're not about to do the commentary just as Marty McFly, are you? Yup. Whoa! It's not even Halloween. Not even Halloween. That's heavy. Let's make a monster. Alright, so starting off with the sphere as usual. I sped this up more than the other bits since I figured, you know, a lot of the videos are going to start this way. I'm starting with the sphere. I'm dynameshing. I'm keeping it loose. I'm constantly, like, you know, redoing the topology. Actually, my goal in this one's a little bit different than the other ones. At this stage with the dynamesh, I'm trying to create a mesh that will produce a good Zremesh so that I can divide. So, like, my intention is to work with divisions a lot more while I'm working out what it's going to be. Whereas normally I would be a lot more loose with the dynamesh when I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. But, yeah, because of this guy's nose and his mouth is open, those two things, it's just to be able to keep those things tight and that resolution and the eyelids, I wanted some topology there. So you can see me here. So I'm going to dig out a hole in the mouth and the eyes and stuff, and you'll even see me do a little trick here that I do sometimes where I exaggerate the corners because Zremesher is looking for those defining features, right, to put a loop. And so instead of like manually drawing where the edges will be, I exaggerate some of the turns so that Zremesher sees it and picks it up. So yeah, right now I'm even testing it. Here I am putting the loops around the eyes with the, just like with the damn standard brush. So that Zremesher goes, oh yeah, that's important. And so I can get more of a circle there. Anyways, it's kind of a way to control it. You can see the topology on the nose isn't great. But anyways, so this is pretty early to be in divisions normally for being loose. But I know he's going to be a guy shape with no nose. That's pretty much it. You saw the concept or the, you know, the art that's the key inspiration for this earlier. So I kind of knew that I could lock it in early, and it didn't freak me out too much. I knew a lot of it would come from the details, kind of. So now I'm just blocking in the teeth. His mouth's gonna be open, like in the illustration. I'm also thinking like, maybe he's lost some lips, you know, like it's kind of open. I mean, I can kind of speak about it. Like so my impression of that illustration, like Bernie Wrightson's Frankenstein. You know, the idea is that his Frankenstein is based more off the book than the films, you know, and he's also the co-creator of the Swamp Thing, so you can kind of see some similarities in those two characters, and it felt like I mean, a lot of people do Frankensteins, you know, and I wanted to do a monster in the Halloween spirit, and because, you know, those old monster makers are awesome, they're a huge inspiration, and there's just a lot of Frankensteins out there. And when I got the idea of, hey, what about a Bernie Wrightson kind, you know, it really got me excited about the subject. But also then, while I'm working on it and while I'm looking at the illustration, kind of figure out, well, there's a difference between those two Frankensteins, right? And it made it interesting thinking about what they did in the film, because really the one that I'm making off of Bernie's it's more of a zombie, which is what he is, right? He's a dead guy, back to life. And that's freaky. The films did kind of a very interesting thing, making him not hideously gruesome. And by making him different colors, you kind of get the dead feel. Like, it doesn't look like Walking Dead, right? But this kind of has more of a Walking Dead feel, because Frankenstein's probably OG zombie, if you think about it. So anyways, yeah, I thought about that kind of a lot while I was working. I was thinking about zombies as inspiration, that like I'm kind of grounding it, I guess, at least more than the films ones. Like, there's no bolts in his neck. and all that. But I tried to kind of keep the stringy hair and the strength. I mean, I actually think that was the thing I regret about this piece the most, is I feel like I lost the strength that Bernie's creature did. Like, it was a strong Frankenstein monster. Anyways, I also sped up this teeth thing, but you can see I'm actually going to save this later too in just my tools so I can use this for more creatures, but there's no shortcut around this. I started with dynamesh to make the gums, and then I imported a sphere and made a tooth shape and duplicated it and moved it and duplicated it. The nice thing is you only have to do one side and mirror it, and then after you mirror it, then you can go over it and make it asymmetrical to make it look more natural. But I knew the teeth would be important, and there's no way around it. You'd have to make teeth, and I didn't have a set of teeth lying around, so I made one. And but anyways, it's cool that now I've got teeth, so I'll probably keep that around in my tools, so I don't have to make that again. At least I have something to start from. So yeah, I knew the teeth are going to be important, zombie stuff going to be important, and the other thing that was kind of a variable at this point is the hair. I think the long hair is a really cool, iconic thing in that Wrightson illustration too, or in his creatures. So yeah, while you see me sketching away here on the secondary forms too, I can tell you a little bit in case you didn't know. So Frankenstein was written by Mary Shelley, a girl who was 18 at the time, and then I think it was published when she was 20. But it's cool because it's kind of some people think of it as the earliest example of science fiction, because the young scientist Victor Frankenstein made a decision to do an experiment with imaginary technology, and he brought something to life. And anyways, it's pretty cool. It's a cool character. Another thing about that, and both Frankensteins, Bernie's and the film, that I was aware of is it's scary. The actual character of the creature is scary when you see him. And as an idea, I mean, he's a dead guy that's alive. That's pretty freaky. But it's also a tragic figure. Like, he's sad. I mean, it's sad because he didn't choose to be brought back to life. People are scared of him. They want to kill him. He's kind of like an animal. Like, you just brought him into existence, and then now you're freaked out you're going to kill him. And then he kind of, acts like you would. So there's this sadness in the eyes that even the films and Bernie both do it with the eyelids and how they're and the kind of expression of the brow. I mean, I could have pushed it even further if you think about it, because with the skin being all zombie-like and the teeth, and if you really sell the fact that he's dead, then having a sad expression on a zombie, that's what sets it apart, from something like The Walking Dead. Back to the video here, I'm starting to put texture on it to see what that's like. I'm using the standard alphas that are in Zbrush with the color spray and those little jaggy lines. I've included you can always pause the video and slow it down. You can actually see the alpha right there. You can actually see the brushes and stuff I'm using in the lower left, or beneath me, I guess, down there. Yeah, but I'm starting to put texture on there because I think it's going to be kind of an important quality. A lot of it has to do with this cheekbony, stretchy shape. It's really the eyes, then the nose being like a skull, and later on I try to kind of figure out how to deal with that. And then just cool, like, zombie sunken in cheeks. And so I don't want to make it too noisy, but I want to make him look dead. It was kind of an interesting challenge of this one, is how do you make a zombie? I didn't want to do a bunch of wounds. I didn't want it to be really bloody. I didn't want it to be too horror-ish. I tried to achieve the horror aspect with the lighting and stuff at the end. I wanted this to feel more like a creature that was kind of tragic, I guess. That was the goal. Here I'm making a snaggletooth because that's awesome. I'm always going to be touching the important parts. The teeth, nose, and eyes. I think I maybe even got asymmetry on the face already. I put that on a layer, though. No, it doesn't look like I have layers yet. But yeah, you can see me checking materials a lot, especially when I have that little fine detail on there. I want to see how the light moves around with the different shaders. And something I do later too when I'm expecting to render in Keyshot is why not? Here I'm pulling out this. This is inspired exactly from the illustration. I mean, not exactly, but it's directly inspired from the illustration. That there's some cross hatching that he did that looked like maybe stretched skin, and I kind of tried to put a little homage in there. At least with the shadows, hopefully, kind of plays that way. You saw in the illustration that he did too, something that Bernie was trying to do with the illustrations for the book is make it look old itself, like an antique. The book itself is a nice book. Hold on a second. Yeah, it's a nice book itself, and so like you see with the lettering and the feeling of the pages, that it's like a nice book to have, right? And so one of his inspirations for the way that he achieved that look was by using steel engravings, like really old steel engravings as one of the main inspirations. And they used to do that for printing presses and stuff, that they would meticulously carve out the way, the drawing so they could dip it in ink and then press it on pages. So you can see in his illustration, it's all ink, and he's doing it with lines, really careful draftsmanship. And so a lot of what's on the creature is just hinted at, and so that was kind of fun for me to get to embellish a lot. Like, I see the big things that are there, and then I know it's up to me to come up with, what does the skin look like? How does he not have a nose? What's that about? So it was cool. And all his work is super cool. I was fortunate enough to be able to attend a talk. That's where I was first kind of introduced to his work, at least the Frankenstein stuff. He did a talk at Cal State Fullerton, and about his influences from steel engravings and how fascinated he was. And then for years he didn't know. He thought that all those drawings were done by hand in pen, and he thought that's just how you did it. And I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. So you don't see that look very much, and it creates a really interesting illustration, that's for sure. And very macabre and gothic. And here comes some of that brow work. So using the dam standard with a pretty low setting, I'm trying to, in the actual illustration, the brows got a lot of detail. So I didn't want to clutter it up that much, but I wanted to have these pads of fat that swell up like it's scrunching together. Like an inquisitive middle brow scrunch, like, I'm sad. Here I'm trying out a technique. I'm stamping down an alpha that I got from the Lightbox in Zbrush. So I didn't download this either. And then inflating it around and washing it away a bit just to see, does this produce an interesting result? It's more experimentation again. And I kind of found a rhythm. Like, I kind of found a little technique to, if I put it on a morph target, so I could always wipe it out, and then or a layer so that also doesn't affect the underlying detail. And then I started stamping it down, inflating it, and then washing it out a bit, so that with smooth, so that it's just barely there. Anyways, it seemed to work pretty good. I'm always gonna have to go over at the end with the dam standard or something like that, so that I can by hand make creased edges, like enunciate the things that are important, because you don't want it to be even, the detail or the secondary forms or anything, just because it's gonna be kind of buzzy. All those shadows will then be like equal value, evenly spread, and it'll buzz out your work. I'm putting it's subtle in certain locations just to break up the light and to sell that it's skin, to sell that it's worn skin and leathery skin. So that's the kind of stuff I'm using for reference, is like leathers, old leathers. Even though I'm not doing it exactly, we're taking artistic liberty here so that we can make something that we think looks good. So it's not like he doesn't have any blood and it's like old beef jerky, because that'd be gross. But it's kind of the way that I'm selling it, is that the skin has lost some of its elasticity, that it's just more wrinkled. Just to help sell this zombie feeling without it being. I crashed right there. Luckily I didn't lose too much work. I crashed a couple other times. So here comes the pose too. And I always look forward to this when I get the opportunity to put it in a pose and then work more on it. I think that's pretty cool. It doesn't happen a lot professionally, and I mean, it's obviously a huge time saver to sculpt symmetrically, so I do it most of the time. But I knew that this was going to be in a pose, and I wanted to be able to work on it after it was posed. And by posing it first before I even knew exactly how I was going to finish it, forced me to not be symmetrical, which in the end is good. I mean, especially this kind of a character, the more organic and irregular things are, the better. I mean, you don't at all want this guy to seem too perfect, right? Because, I mean, he's dead. So, yeah. I don't know if you can tell now. I really reinforce it later, but his nose, I try to make it look like the skin ripped off around it. Oh, I'm doing it now. Good. So I duplicate the mesh at the parts where I know there's going to be bone underneath, and then I negatively inflate it a bit, and here I am punching through the main one, and that's just by because the two are on top of each other, and I de-inflate one. There's a thickness there where I just have to push the mesh in, so that you can see here I'm poking the bone showing through as if the skin has thickness this way. And so I chose 3 spots: the cheekbone there, the nose, and a little bit on the head. But the head ended up going away with the hair anyway. Now here, those eyelids I'm talking about, you can see I can get some of the sadness here. And also the eyelids should be asymmetrical. They are in his illustration. And that's just a good thing to do. It makes him look more like sloppy. Because that's the thing is, I want him to look like he doesn't have that much more motor control. You know, like he's not agile. He's dead, but in the eyes there's a soul there that's not stoked about being alive right now. Scary but misunderstood, which can be a fine line to walk. So here you can see me using the damp standard like I spoke about before. Going over those wrinkles that I think are important, the lips, the little chin thing, and then any little scars and stuff that I wanted to bring attention to. The bottom, the torso is just there to make a better composition and a bust. I really didn't spend enough time there to show a lot of detail, but it's there so that I didn't want to crop the head too much or just see it floating, and I wanted it to look like I just have it in that shape to balance out the bust really. So I spent most of my time trying to finish the face, this front view. I also scattered some pores on there. For a while I didn't think I was going to do that because I was like, hair follicles and pores, that doesn't sound like that'd be on a dead guy, but I had trouble making it look like skin without it. So here comes the hair part. So this, I was a little nervous about this. My first plan of attack was I duplicated it. So I hid the one I was happy with, and then I lowered it so it wasn't so expensive. And from this mesh I was gonna draw my hair. So you saw me like outline the skull shape, like the hair cap shape, and then I broke it up into polygroups that I thought would be good hair clump groups, with the intention of pulling out the hair in those groups in the right pattern, and then after that doing layers of kind of rogue hairs and wispy hairs. And I'm kind of new to this fibermesh thing. I don't use it all the time, and because I don't use it frequently, anytime I go back to using it, I need to like kind of get in the rhythm again. But I made kind of a big amateur mistake in that I didn't have enough strands. So I spent a good amount of time. I crashed right there. I spent a good amount of time, and I think I had to redo it. Oh yeah, that's so sad. See, I'm so sad. Right now I'm like, oh, and I thought it looked good. You know, I didn't look at the video or anything, and now I have to relive it. But that hurt a bit. I didn't have enough hair strands, so I do this work here, and then I ended up thinking like, oh man, that's not enough. So I had to kind of double it up and restack it. But anyway, so the principle here, I mean, I'll give you a couple nuggets on hair. So one, I totally believe that quality of hair in a work digitally And this is true though of special makeup and effects also. I think the key to making good believable hair is time and, you know, patience. I mean, the key is time, but you gotta be organized, patient, and spend a lot of time. So I didn't spend enough time. I'm satisfied with the hair. I think it does its job, but it's not amazing. And next time I do a project with hair, I think maybe it just won't be so long, but I think one of the things is more clumps, like you see me doing like a hero kind of clump here. And the way I'm doing that is drawing a mask that's kind of small. With the hair settings, I have less hair because, you know, you're just doing this little clump. And then with the groom brush for spiking, if I stroke it in a certain way, I'll get this hair strandy clump. And I'm just going to use that for like kind of hero ones. But the more of those that you do that, the more it would look more like hair. I mean, because hair kind of with the oil clumps together a bit, and you get these like layers of, it's not just it's all even coming out, which is, I did that in the back and stuff, hoping you wouldn't really notice. And I tried to have irregularities in the hair so that it would look a little bit more natural. But another thing is, even with the groom brush, you know, you have all this hair as one thing. So any brushes you use to move it, you're moving everything like it's a sheet, like it's aluminum foil. So you don't get that dynamic, like this clump goes over and this is behind and this goes out this way and this goes out this way. With that, you really just have to make more and more separate pieces that are all coming out in a similar direction, but not exactly the same. And anyways, I think that would overall improve the look, and that's just a time thing. I didn't want to spend forever on the hair, so that was me checking it in Keyshot and realizing it was looking a little bit better with doubling it up and stuff. So yeah, after I do this hero strand, I think we're gonna be pretty much done. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. After this, I put it in Keyshot, and I set up a little lighting rig and rendered that out and finished it off in Photoshop with some texture overlays and stuff to get that dirt look. And if you guys are interested in seeing a video about that, let me know. But this is primarily the ZBrush part. So yeah. Oh yeah, I did another extra hair strandy thing behind his ear because he really doesn't want to get the hair in his face because he doesn't want to look dumb. He wants to look really cool when the people are terrified, because that'd be really embarrassing. With this hero strand, I keep calling them hero strands like they're superheroes, but with this strand, I tried to get the movement of the head tilt, so it's the farthest one out, and it helps kind of lead the eye and like triangulate that composition. It's just like he just tilted his head maybe, or he's in a walk and it's leaning out. I was hoping to get a little bit of movement in the image and get things off center. And you see that it's thin in the back right there. I didn't really care because it's in the back, but I needed to fill it out because I was seeing it in the render that it just wasn't full and poking out. It just didn't feel right in the back. So I'm gonna have to remedy that right now. There you go. I hope you guys dug the video. If you did, click the like button. If you'd like to see more of this stuff, subscribe. If you guys want to see the lighting or rendering of this guy, you know, let me know in the comments below, or any other subject you want to see. Anyways, happy Halloween, guys. Peace.